sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. I'm getting invited to a lot more networking events. Maybe I'm just noticing now, maybe it's because I'm a little more open to it. And they're meetings, they're grand openings, some of them are called networking events. I got to be honest with you, I typically don't like things that are called networking events. I don't like going places where there's networking in the title, because usually what I find is a bunch of sales guys shoving business cards in other sales guys' pockets, wasting time. And some people say, oh, I love networking. And usually what that means is they like going to these events and drinking free beer and eating food and hanging out with their buddies. Which, hell, what's not to like about that? Well, it really, I've found, and I've been that guy, of course I have. But what I've also found is this: if I take the networking seriously, it can be a great tool to get business in the short term as well as the long term. Right? It's more than going out and being a gadfly and, like I say, hanging out with your buddies. Good networking is having an intent before you walk in the door, having an idea of what you will consider success. So here is one of the things that I keep in mind when I'm networking, when I'm going to a networking event, hell, when I'm going anywhere, right? But if I'm go somewhere and be around other people and I want to consider it a business thing, I'll go with the idea, if I'm going to walk in the door, I am working until I meet two people that I can call about business within the next 48 hours, right? I'm going to hang around there and I'm working until I meet two people. Sometimes maybe it's one, sometimes I may say three, but usually it's two that I can call about business in the next 48 hours. And as soon as I've gotten my two or one, whatever my goal was, I could leave. Or I could go and drink beer and hang out with my friends and laugh. But I have to separate those two things, because networking done right is part of your job and there are strategies there. So a couple things to think about. When you go to these events, there are probably 4 or 5 different kinds of people you ought to look to meet. Number one, obviously, your ideal prospect. Love to meet somebody who's a decision maker right in the lane that you sell to, that you can strike up a conversation with, right? What are you going to talk about? Well, I'll get there in a second. Decision makers, right? In your ideal prospect. Number 2 person you might want to meet is somebody who works with or can get you to that decision maker of your ideal prospect. Great to meet those too. Maybe it's a CFO in a company where you need to meet the CEO. Maybe it's a safety guy that you need to meet the plant manager, right? Those are great people to meet. They're worth your while. Number 3, people that have your ideal clients as clients. It can be the CPA, the lawyer, the insurance guy who, and maybe it's, it could be another sales guy. They already work with your clients and they have a business, your prospects, and they have a business relationship with them. People that'd be comfortable referring you, and they'd be okay referring you to somebody who's your ideal prospect. Those are really good too. Build those relationships. You help them, they help you. Remember, it takes, if you divide the world into many parts or 2 parts or whatever, you might say that one group of people, and I think this is the normal, this is the stasis, are people who are takers, who believe that people should give them things, who believe that they are there to get what they can get. I think it takes a choice. I think the right way to be, and the other side of this, is to be a giver, to be somebody who looks for opportunities to help other people. Givers are people who believe that there's an unlimited amount of success in the world, that there's plenty out there for everybody. No reason to hoard it ourselves. Somebody else winning doesn't mean we're losing. There's plenty of business out there. So as you go to these networking events, maybe it's somebody right now that You can refer them to someone else they need to know. Maybe it's a tip or an idea or something you've heard that you can share with them that might make a difference in their world. Don't just go there to take, go there to give. Another person you can meet, and I think this is on the lower end, is friends, not business associates, but friends of your ideal prospects. In most situations, I would tell you that being a friend and not somebody that your ideal prospect does business with, not nearly as strong as you think it is. Do any of you, do you have friends? Do you have any friends, maybe, that you like, you love, you spend time with them? They're great, they're family. But if they made a business suggestion to you, you'd be like, yeah, dude, whatever. You'd never listen to them. There's a dividing line between friends and business. We can talk about it at length. But as far as getting referred in, sometimes friends can help, but the majority of the time we put way too much stock that a friend can get us in the right place. Find somebody that does business with them. It's already a level of trust at that point. The next person, or the fifth level of people that you might want to meet at a networking event, is somebody who has a passion for something. What the hell are you talking about, Walker? Find somebody who loves something, who loves to talk about something, who is very interested in, I don't care, science fiction, business, stamp collecting, astronomy, golf, hunting, fly fishing, traveling, and have a conversation with them. Remember, our goal in these conversations is to go to learn, not to go and teach, not to go and sell. Not at these events. You do not sell there. At best, what you may say is, hey, you know what? You sound like somebody I need to follow up with. You sound like somebody I need to know better. You mind if I give you a call tomorrow? I had a couple of business questions for you. You okay with that? Don't try and sell somebody a networking event. The best thing you would do is say, hey, listen, I'm going to call you next couple of days. I'm going to have a business conversation with you. You be okay with that? All right. You can begin that with, I feel no pressure to sell you anything, but I'd love to have a quick business conversation with you. You open to that if I call you? Here's something else. Don't take business cards. Don't take your business cards to a networking event. I don't have them. Maybe nobody uses them anymore. But if somebody asks me for a business card, that typically means they have one themselves. And I'll say, you know what? I don't have one. Why don't you give me yours? Because then when I get home, I can decide who I'm going to call and who I'm not. I might write on the back, this is John. Need to call him about his friend, his business partner who does this. And I know the next day. I remember years ago when I go to these damn things and drink beer and eat shrimp and not do any work, I'd come up with a handful of business cards and didn't know why the hell they were there, and then it sitting on my desk, so I threw them away. Be purposeful. Get 2 business cards. Find 2 people that you wanted to call about business the next 48 hours. After you do that, you can go home. Here's a way to ask questions there. Remember, go be interested, not interesting. Go to find out about other people. How often do you get to tell the story of how you got to be where you are? Probably not often enough. And it's the same with other people. Don't get wrapped up in your own shit. It's never about you. Here's a quick, easy strategy for questioning, for conversations with people you don't know or people you do know. It sounds like present, past, future. Present, past, future. Ask them, what do you do? What do you do in the present, right? What is your job? What does that mean? What does that mean on a day-to-day basis? Be curious. What does it mean on a day-to-day basis? What's the hardest part about it? How'd you get into that, right? So then you move to past. So what's your story? How'd you get there? Find out how'd they get to where they are now. Everybody's got a cool story. And when they tell you to move from this place to that place, say, what was the hook for you to move to those things? How'd you happen to choose that path? What was it about that company that made you go there? Why'd you leave? What surprised you the most since you've been gone from there? I mean, there are a million questions you can ask them about their past. Be sincerely curious. You can ask 1 question, 3 questions, 971 questions. When you feel like you've run out of time there, you can say, just kind of curious, what happens if things are going well? It's a couple of years from now. What would we be doing differently than you're doing right now? What does that look like? What do you hope you'll be doing? People love to share that stuff. Nobody asks those kind of questions. Nobody gets involved in a real conversation anymore. You be the one. That's how you differentiate yourself. And then you might say at the end, it makes it easy to say, hey, listen, enjoyed our conversation. I'd love to have a business conversation with you sometime. Look, I feel no pressure to say anything, but you okay? If I call you, take my call the next couple of days? Hey, we have a quick conversation? If you've spent a bunch of time trying to understand who they are and what they like and what they don't, your chances of getting that meeting are way higher. Get better at that. It'll make you a better human being, not just another salesperson. Walker McKay. There's lots of opportunity out there right now. Get off your ass and go out and get some business.
Thanks for listening to the OBS Sales School podcast. If you haven't already, please take 1 minute to write a quick review for the show. It really does make a huge difference. Also, subscribe to the show and please forward this episode to somebody else who needs to hear it. As a bonus for listening, I'm going to give you access to a free mini course, 7 expensive sales mistakes you're making and what you can do about it. Go to www.7salesmistakes.com and get access to the free mini course. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the OBS Sales School podcast.